All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. So today we're looking at a really fascinating self-development module called the Servant Leader. I was reading through the source material on this recently, and honestly, it makes a deeply compelling case for how mastering emotional intelligence, or EQ, isn't just some abstract, nice-to-have soft skill. No, it argues that EQ is the actual structural cornerstone of your entire career trajectory. Instead of just throwing a bunch of empty corporate buzzwords at us, this text breaks down exactly how we can fundamentally upgrade the way we operate day to day. If you've been searching for a structured, practical approach to not just surviving your job, but truly elevating your professional game, well, I think you're going to find this exploration just as eye-opening as I did. But before we get into the actual mechanics of the training, I want to ground this in reality for a second. Take a moment and just reflect on the friction you experience in your daily professional life. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right? It's 4:55 p.m. on a Wednesday, an urgent, slightly passive-aggressive email lands in your inbox about a looming deadline, and suddenly, your heart rate spikes. We've all been there. We all face interpersonal clashes, misaligned expectations, and just that underlying, constant hum of pressure. So the text poses this incredibly important question. How do we actually eliminate that workplace stress? And more importantly, how do we use that friction-free environment to truly pave the way to success? This module promises to solve these exact issues. And the kicker is, it does so by looking inward rather than trying to change everyone around you. Section 1. Paving the way to success. What I found super interesting in the source text is how it pairs these two distinct outcomes together as the absolute foundation of the module. Notice the connection. Pave the way to success and reduce stress in the workplace. The material argues that these aren't separate goals at all. They're intrinsically linked. I mean, you literally cannot sustain peak success if you're constantly carrying the heavy, exhausting weight of chronic workplace stress. It just doesn't work. By addressing the stress first through targeted self-development, you are essentially clearing the debris off the road. It's really about removing those mental and emotional roadblocks so that your hard skills, your technical talents, and your ambition can actually accelerate without constantly hitting speed bumps. Moving on to Section 2, Applying EQ at Work. Now think about the stark contrast between standard workplace reactions and what the text calls EQ-based behaviors and decisions. How does a normal workplace operate when a crisis hits? Let's say a major project deadline is suddenly missed. The default is usually super defensive, right? People start pointing fingers, sending highly reactive messages, or just shutting down entirely. And that immediately creates massive friction. But the text asks us to shift entirely to EQ-based behaviors. So instead of reacting with frustration to that missed deadline, it's about responding with strategic empathy to figure out where the bottleneck actually is. When you apply EQ-based behaviors, you're actively choosing to make decisions that de-escalate tension. You are basically replacing the heat of an emotionally charged reaction with the frictionless harmony of calculated, emotionally intelligent leadership. I really want to draw your attention to one specific word in this quote from the material: know-hows. The training ensures participants will be exposed to the know-hows to apply EQ-based behaviors and decisions in the workplace. This absolutely stood out to me because it means we aren't just talking about some abstract philosophy today. The source is promising a tangible toolkit. It implies that emotional intelligence isn't just a fixed personality trait, like you're either born with it or you're not. No, it's a set of practical skills, literally know-hows, that you can learn, practice, and pull from every single time you need to make a complex decision at work. Which brings us to Section 3, the servant leader concept. The text explicitly focuses on sharing the servant leader concept. But what does it actually mean in practice? I spent some time really unpacking this framework based on the source material. A servant leader isn't about being subservient or letting people just walk all over you. Far from it. It's a highly effective conceptual framework that structures those raw EQ know-hows into a definitive, powerful leadership style. It works by prioritizing the growth and well-being of the people and the communities around you. A servant leader practices active listening, empathy, and stewardship. By using EQ to elevate your team, making absolutely sure they have what they need to succeed, you naturally reduce the overall friction in your environment. And paradoxically, as the source points out, dedicating yourself to the success of others is what ultimately drives your own comprehensive professional development. Let's move to Section 4, Becoming a Mature Officer. Okay, let's look at how this whole sequence logically builds based on the text. It's a really clear self-development journey. Step 1. You actively learn and apply EQ-based behaviors and decisions in your daily interactions. Step 2. Because you are navigating conflicts with strategic empathy, you drastically reduce the ambient stress in your workplace. Step 3. Operating in that low-stress, high-clarity environment frees up your cognitive load, which allows you to properly achieve new skills and further your development. And finally, step 4, the ultimate goal, becoming a mature officer. It is a perfectly linear progression, really. Mastering one specific step unlocks the exact capacity you need to achieve the next. The text uses this very specific phrase, mature officer in all aspects. And it's an incredibly interesting word choice, don't you think? It doesn't just say you'll be a better manager or a top performer. The term officer implies a deep sense of duty, stability, and grounded authority. Achieving these specific skills and committing to this self-development path leads to complete, well-rounded professional maturity. In all aspects means you've achieved emotional maturity, so you don't panic under pressure, interpersonal maturity, so you can handle difficult team dynamics, and tactical maturity, so you can actually execute on your goals. You become a fully realized, highly effective, stabilizing force in your professional environment. So looking back at the source material, the formula it presents for career transformation is brilliantly straightforward. To achieve that level of deep professional maturity, we really have to recognize how perfectly structured this path is. The key takeaways remind us that we pave the way to our own success by actively working to reduce workplace stress. And we accomplish that reduction not by avoiding difficult tasks, but by consistently applying practical EQ-based behaviors. And finally, we house all of those behaviors within the empowering, community-focused framework of the servant leader concept. Which brings us to our final thought for today. The roadmap laid out by the source material is crystal clear. We know the exact progression required to eliminate friction and achieve that well-rounded professional maturity. So the crucial question for you is this: are you ready to take these EQ know-hows out of the realm of theory and start your own transformation into the servant leader your workplace desperately needs? The path to becoming a mature officer in all aspects begins with how you choose to handle your very next workplace challenge. Make it an emotionally intelligent one. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to explore our next topic with you.